This is Jonathan Lane from Fan Film Factor, and today I am here with three members of the Yisrael family of New Orleans. You guys are all based in Louisiana, right?
Yes, sir.
And we have Dr. LUD YISRAEL
That's me.
and his son YAH'EL,
That's
and
me.
then we also have TAMAH on the other side there. And
Greetings.
greetings. And you guys all appeared in and were part of the creation of a very grassroots, very homemade fan film called A Giant Problem, which was just released.
Captain's log, stardate 5843.7. The crew of the Defiant are the only hope for the people of Argelius 2. The planet is in need of a rare mineral, corbamite, found only on one planet in the galaxy.
And I saw that a little while ago, and I thought to myself, this is an interesting little fan film for a couple of reasons. First of all, I noticed in the credits that everybody in the credits had the same last name.
Yeah.
I know sometimes fan films can be a little bit of a family affair, but I mean, you guys literally everybody's part of the same family.
Mhm.
And then the other thing, which I talked to these guys a little bit before the interview, just making sure it was okay to quote unquote go there. But it's a totally black cast. Obviously, you're all in the family. But not only is it a black cast, but you guys you very much embraced clothing and jewelry from black culture, and I found that, first of all, I found it very refreshing. I found it very original for Star Trek fan films, and also this is a community that it does have some black fan filmmakers, but not a lot. So I was just sort of intrigued how a family like yourselves comes to produce a Star Trek fan film. And beyond that, I then proceeded, when I finally did talk to Dr. Lud over there, to discover that your history, which I want to find out a lot more about, is really fascinating, because you're a Chicago jazz man, and you made it down the Mississippi to New Orleans. You got all that. You got all that instrumentation behind you. I see the guitar. I see the keyboards. I mean, this is a jazz man who likes Star Trek, who makes a fan film. This is going to be an interesting interview.
Well, let's hope so.
Well, so first of all, let's hear a little bit about each one of you. So let's start with Dr. Lud. So yeah, tell me a little bit how you got from Chicago to New Orleans to a Star Trek fan film.
Okay, well, born and raised in Chicago. As a high school student, my family moved to Birmingham, Alabama, and I became a professional musician at 15, and I played the clubs in high school, and then I quit doing the professional thing and went to college to study music, and then I got bit by a bug of studying. I studied a few different subjects, and then I wound up studying theology and getting my doctorate in theology. But I've always been a diehard sci-fi fan, and I love Star Trek. I grew up in the early 70s watching the reruns of the first one, but it was when the 80s one came out, that's the one that really, I started watching, and then that's when my children, when they were born, I kind of gave them that same, we watched it together, and they became Trekkies also. And moving to New Orleans, I have a music school in Birmingham. And Birmingham wasn't really a jazz city anymore. It was more of a gospel city. And so my music school is about contemporary music and jazz music. So we had been visiting New Orleans, and we saw how the commerce was and the atmosphere for jazz were. And so we packed up the school and we moved it to New Orleans. And we've been here for over 10, 12 years now. And we still have our music school, and we have a community center. And just here recently, during the pandemic, we got into full-blown productions. Me and my son, we started a production company, and we started doing the things that we like to do, sci-fi. And we painted a wall green. Next thing you know, we painted a room green. And I guess the rest is a little history of the like. One of y'all want to go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's
Y'all?
me.
Yeah, well, I've been a performer my whole life. I've been playing piano since I was 8. And then we got into performing, and my other siblings also play saxophone and bass and other things. So we've always been performing and doing different types of, interesting jobs. And we do construction. So that's how we kind of built our set walls. And, we kind of had, I guess, the necessary skills to become goofy fan film people. The goofy ones. Because we started out, first we made a YouTube channel because we wanted to help promote and gain an audience for just a lot of the stuff we do. But one of the stuff we really like is sci-fi, and Star Trek was being one of our favorite shows. So we decided maybe we make some commentary videos. Maybe we pretend we're Star Trek officers who are off duty and think about what funny shenanigans we might get into. Maybe you're sleeping and all of a sudden they shoot the ship and then you get knocked out of bed. We were just thinking of interesting stuff. And then finally, he was dying to make a giant for any reason. For any reason.
Don't tell a secret.
He wanted to make a giant. So we kind of wrote that entire giant problem around that effect. So yeah, we just been trying to make funny videos and try out the YouTube thing and get our cut our teeth at writing some scripts.
He's a little modest. He's a piano virtuoso. He became a professional at 8 years old. And I always tell people I have video of him playing, and he's been compared to Thelonious Monk when he was 9 years old. Right. The legendary Cleve Eaton, which was a good friend of mine before he passed away, bass player for Ramsey Lewis and Count Basie. He critiqued him at 9 years old, said that guy, he has something special. He's going to be a great pianist one day. And of course, he is a great pianist today.
And now I'm writing Star Trek fan films.
Hey, there is no rule that says you have to do one or the other.
Exactly.
Actually, I'm still doing both because of most of our videos. I make the little music and produce. And just like you said, during COVID, we really took time to study and buy equipment so we could record music even better. That's what I was working on. And also have our video studio put together, lights and green screen stuff.
And tomorrow we don't want to take it all away.
Oh, no worries.
Here's my hand.
So,
there you go. Come on.
There we go. All right. So I am TAMAH. I met my husband, Dr. LUD, in Birmingham in 2008. But I grew up, born and raised in Birmingham. My dad is a Star Trek fan. He's a Next Gen fan. He's also old school fan. So I grew up seeing Lieutenant Uhura as a child, and of course, as a young Black girl coming up seeing her on TV is definitely, was always inspiring. But I got into it because he asked me. He asked me
Forced
to.
her. Actually,
We
we
forced her.
You're a
Right.
good wife.
I voluntold her.
Basically, he wrote a part, and now there are more parts coming. So I'm excited about that.
And you didn't tell them the best part. Now she's hooked. I can't write something without her now. Just kidding. Can't write much without her.
But yeah, wasn't there some fans in New Orleans who wanted you to play Lieutenant Uhura on a float?
Indeed. Yeah, I actually am kind of organizing with some women who are doing the Afrofuturistic theme for some things they're doing for Mardi Gras. And so I've been invited to be a part of that crew to see how that's gonna look. So we're gonna see what that looks like for Mardi Gras.
I definitely want a picture from Mardi Gras on that.
Right.
Of you doing her. I got to tell you something really quick. My son, we adopted our baby, who's now 12, from a family in Shreveport, or from a birth mom and birth dad in Shreveport, and to keep a sort of a link to his roots, we celebrate Mardi Gras every year, and he has always brought in beads for everybody in his class. They love it, it's either February or March. He brings beads, and he talks about the 3 colors of Mardi Gras, which are purple, green, and gold, and what they represent. And at some point we'll definitely take him down to New Orleans to to actually see Mardi Gras. But during COVID, that was definitely not going to happen.
Not gonna happen.
But you guys will be back up on floats again in a couple of months, which will be good. But yeah, I definitely want to see that picture of Star Trek is represented on a Mardi Gras float.
Yeah. We may even do an episode and incorporate the crowds and, be beamed down to a strange planet in this Mardi Gras.
Hey, if you've got it, absolutely go ahead and film. There have been a few fan films that have done that. One of the most significant ones was an early episode of Star Trek Continues, where there was a Civil War reenactment being done very close to their studio in southern Georgia. And they took the whole film crew out there and they did a time travel episode where Kirk and McCoy go back to the Civil War. It's called Divided We Stand, if you guys ever want to watch it, for Star Trek Continues. And they filmed all this footage during the Civil War reenactment.
You'll make it through. We both will.
And
that's pretty cool.
You never see something like that in a Star Trek fan film.
I know, right?
Wow.
So yeah, absolutely do a Mardi Gras parade. That we need that.
Oh yeah.
So what did you know about the world of Star Trek fan films before you decided to make one yourself?
Only that it existed. I didn't know any depth of anything that was substantial. I've seen a fan film in passing, but when I decided to do it, it came back to my mind that, fans do films, so let me do something and call it a fan film. Since it was such a complete episode, I said, well, I definitely need to label this a fan film because we are fans, and all my children have watched Star Trek. Like me and my wife, we watch Star Trek. All three of us, we work out in the mornings, and at one time, every time we finished working out, we would turn on Star Trek and watch an episode before we get ready to go to work and all of these things.
Yeah, we were kind of aware that there was, a big community of fan filmmakers and stuff, but it's kind of like we didn't check out the waters first. We kind of just jumped in and hoped for the best. And then, now, realizing there's just so many, and it's a lot of good stuff to get inspiration from or whatever. Especially now we're looking at what other people do when it comes to like how they use a phaser or what they do to make their door look like it moves, and you're just giving us different ideas. We even actually just ordered some phasers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we will modify them and spray paint them.
Yeah, we need to spray paint them, but we're taking
actually, you know what? I kind of like that color scheme.
That color? We might need to use
this
it.
This is a Talarian phaser.
It's like I was trying to think who's going to paint their phasers blue and orange, but man, that makes a statement, though, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
Now, you did mention we talked a little bit just before the interview that there's one particular fan filmmaker that you reached out to before you made your fan film, who's done a lot of stuff for very low budget. You want to talk about that for a sec?
Well, actually, we didn't reach out to him. He saw a fan film and he reached out to us.
Oh, so he saw it after you made it.
Right, after we made it. And he actually, we have to thank him so much for sharing our video with the community. And now we feel like we're part of the community. And we actually have 2 scripts we're writing now for 2 different, a next generation and a old school, I call it, Star Trek fan film. So we got 2 films in the pike that we want to present to the community.
And spoiler alert, this time TAMAH is going to be a captain.
Yeah.
A captain.
Promote the woman. Promote the woman.
That's right.
Exactly. By the way, the fan filmmaker in question, which we haven't actually said his name yet, and be like, who was it? Vance Major, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Vance Major.
That's right. And we have actually become you know how you have Facebook friends that's not really friends, but we have reached out and had conversations. And I have a Instagram workout station, workout channel that I do workouts and I motivate people to stay in shape and stay healthy. And he's actually doing some things with his diet and different things. So we've been kind of talking back and forth. I want to encourage him because he really inspired us when he saw a film and shared it, and we started watching all of the fan films and got into the community, aware of the community. It really was a blessing that he reached out to us and got us into that community because we love it. We love it. So appreciate it, Vance.
Shout out to Vance
and
Major.
we can't wait to do something together, collaborate.
And this fan film is our first one. Like a lot of we had one video that was at like 300 views or something, and it was kind of a goofy video. I thought of like, imagine if you go to work, it's the next generation, but there's two Rikers in the in engineering, and no one told you. So we went from that perspective, and then I did another skit where there was two Picards in that episode where there was a clone of Picard, and it's the same concept. That was our highest video. But then when we made this fan film and Vance, you know, I guess he spread it around to a few people and we got some comments. The algorithm kind of, I guess for us, blew up because now we're at 2,000 views.
No, we like having a party that we at 2,000.
So now we're trying to rush and get more, you know, get more things done or whatever. Yeah. But we're really just definitely having fun with this.
Oh, you know, well, you know, we welcome people to the community all the time because, you know, I first caught the fan film bug back in, well, actually, I'm going to really tell you when I did my first fan film in 1999.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, when I say I did my first, it really wasn't my first. I was part of a group in Los Angeles, was a member of Starfleet, the international Star Trek fan organization called the USS Angeles. And we had a filmmaker by the name of Rob Caves, and, you know, young kid in high school at that point, I think. And he wanted to go and do a career in Hollywood doing visual effects. He didn't want to be in a fan film. He wanted to direct them. He wanted to do the effects. So he got the crew together in front of a bunch of green screens in the back of his house. And actually, I don't think we had green screens at that point. I think a lot of stuff was actually just done in living rooms and stuff. But we actually, no, we did have some green screens. But anyway, we did Voyages of the USS Angeles, which was very long, and we had a whole bunch of members of our crew ranging in age from like 12 years old to like in their 70s. And it was just it was a fun fest. That ultimately became Star Trek Hidden Frontier, by the way.
Wow.
He took the crew members who wanted to, you know, go ahead and do that, and made 7 seasons of that, and then God knows how many other fan films and the whole Hidden Frontier stuff. And then at the same point in time, in the early 2000s, James Cawley began to do Star Trek New Voyages. And he built the bridge set in upstate New York, and it was gorgeous. And so this was when I first, you know, really started to get into fan films, but not really diving into it, just kind of like, oh, these are kind of interesting, they're kind of fun to watch. And then in 2014, I found out about this thing called Axanar that was being created, and it looked really, really cool. And they actually had some of the Star Trek actors. In fact, one of them, Gary Graham, was going to reprise his role of Stu Hall in it, and the effects were amazing. And so I sort of dived into that. And the next year, after the person in charge of that, Alec Peters, had managed to raise like $500,000.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, he ultimately got sued, but
that's beside the point.
That's a story for another time. But before he got sued, when it was still, you know, Prelude to Axanar, and if you haven't watched Prelude to Axanar, watch Prelude to Axanar. But once Prelude to Axanar started really gaining momentum, and that was when he was, you know, doing all the crowdfunding, he wanted to bring people into his website and have some of the supporters put regular blogs on talking about this or that or whatever. So he asked people who were writers if they wanted to get involved. I raised my hand, and he, you know, he had like 6 different topics, and one of them was Fan Film Fridays. So I grabbed that one, and that was 2015, and it's now 2022, and I'm still blocking.
Wow. Wow.
What a cool story.
Yeah, speaking of supportive wives, my wife has not kicked me out yet for, you know, doing all this fan film stuff. And I did make my own fan film, by the way, if you have a chance. It was actually a sequel to Prelude to Axanar called Interlude. And if you have a chance to watch that, that's the one that I wrote and produced. And we had a whole bunch of people who knew what they were doing helping us out. And that was a $25,000 crowdfunded fan film.
Wow.
Wow.
I look forward to seeing it.
That one was pretty that was 2 years of my life.
Wow.
But ultimately, what was interesting about that is I made that for two reasons. One, I really wanted to do a film on the Axanar Bridge, on the Aries Bridge that Alec had created and moved to Georgia. And the second reason is I wanted to show people how one makes a fan film from the very beginning of like coming up with the idea and how to crowdfund it to, you know, editing and post-production and all that kind of stuff. So I did a series of like 60 blogs on the actual filming of that. But it gave me a real appreciation for what's involved in creating a fan film on all levels. So with you guys just saying, okay, we're going to do a fan film, you know, yeah, you can tell it's low budget, but sometimes people just dismiss that. And I don't think that's fair. I think that anybody creating and finishing a fan film needs to be applauded, needs to be supported. And you know, that's why I do these interviews, is because anybody can make a fan film, man. You guys,
that's right.
Well, we certainly
appreciate it.
We certainly appreciate it. We certainly appreciate you interviewing us and helping us to learn more about the community, because we really would like to be a part of the community, more active part. We love Star Trek, watching it. We like the fan films now, and now we really, after this interview, we see that there's so many and so diverse that we have a lot of research to do, a lot of watching to do.
Of course, there's always some good stuff to watch. But it's definitely given me more motivation to keep writing and to keep, you know, producing things. Because of course, when we're writing this, oh, this is stupid. Who's gonna like this? Oh,
Right,
no one
right.
can act. Oh, Lord, we can't. My sister won't take direction. We can't direct these people. You know, there's all these.
Let me guess, your sister was the one at the helm station who couldn't keep a straight face, right?
Yes.
Lieutenant Sheba.
She was adorable. I saw her starting to crack up. It's just like I could just start seeing on her face, like, oh man, they're making me do this. They're really making me do this.
Yes. Actually, she had just moved back to New Orleans. She was living in Denver, and she was just moving back to New Orleans. And that day, I think it was like the second day she was in town, and she came over and we were
in
filming,
the midst of filming,
and we said, hey, put on this outfit and sit here and say this line.
Hold your hands like this. Pretend you're using a keyboard.
Absolutely.
And we ended up using more outtakes of her than anything else. We felt like the outtakes was better than when she was trying, so we decided to use the outtakes.
Yeah.
And it just kind of works, because now it's like laughing at the captain and she's just not taking anything seriously.
Exactly. It worked out so good. We couldn't imagine how.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, you know, and Vance will tell you that, you know, he'll be the first person to tell you, you know, if you want to make a fan film, make it for you. If people like it, great. If they don't like it, fine. They don't have to watch it. But you know, that's really kind of what, you know, what it's all about is that, you know, look, we love Star Trek, we love each other. We just want to do it, you know, don't judge. It's like, you know, if you go to a kindergarten play, you don't make fun of the broccoli that forgets his line. I mean, you know, these are kids who are getting up there, they're doing it.
Exactly.
And so yeah, I have to applaud, you know, everybody, including Sheba, you know, for agreeing to do this. Now, I want to ask you guys, I'm guessing it's a very conscious decision, or maybe it wasn't a conscious decision, but obviously y'all have the most amazing dreadlocks I've ever seen.
Thank you.
They look awesome. But you know, you're wearing the scarves over the head, you're wearing the jewelry or whatever. Was that a conscious decision to say, okay, you know, we want to be ourselves in this, or was it just like, you know, I just didn't want to, you know, change out of something to nothing else?
Well, it really was a conscious decision, because if we really were on a ship, we would be ourselves. And so we're trying to bring that, over to the fans or any fans that we may encounter, that this is just who we are. It's hard for me to do any type of physical work unless I have my hair tied up or put up, because it's all in my face or all in the machine or something. So I have to make sure I keep scarves on usually. And so we said, well, let's incorporate that into where when I'm a different character, I do this. And when I'm the captain, I just go without anything, And
Well,
so,
another side to that though is we don't have anyone doing hair. We have no one doing makeup. So sometimes it'd be better just to throw a scarf on.
yeah.
But then we're buying more costumes so that we can differentiate ourselves. So sometimes I may be me as without a hat, and then now here's me with a hat and a mustache, and I'm a different person. So at the time, all we had was like, all right, this guy wears a scarf. This guy doesn't wear a scarf.
Exactly.
I was trying to think maybe I should wear this stupid hat or fedora or something.
And Tamah, I'll let you tell it, but she's admired Lieutenant Uhura, and Uhura has always had the nice earrings and jewelry. And so anyway, Tamah, I won't.
Yeah, and just sharing, and also we had just recently watched an interview about or a story about Nichelle Nichols, and she was very pro-black, and one of the issues I knew she stood up was for how black actors represented themselves on TV. And so for me in portraying the communications officer in this scene, I wanted to like really represent what was relevant about how she thought about black people and representing black people in a way that I knew, who we are as a people. So the head wrap, the jewelry was all very, very intentional. Even from the print that I chose, I chose a print that represented the ideas of what would Star Trek look like, what would Star Trek be like if black people created it, if a black woman really was on, on the being able to be herself. And so for me, that's why I chose like the head wrap and the jewelry that I chose. And it was always about the legs. Everyone knows it. It was always about the
if you got them, baby.
You just gotta let them show, Captain, incoming message from Starfleet Command.
On screen, Lieutenant.
Aye, sir.
Well, just a spoiler alert, my next old school Star Trek fan film, she will be playing a double role. She'll definitely reprise her role as Lieutenant Ashura, but she will also be the Queen of the Galaxy. And this take on, so look forward to that one. She's going to take a double role again because she was the geologist also.
I could see, the husband making his wife the queen of the galaxy. I can kind of see how things are in your household.
Well, it kind of depicts how things are.
It's kind of interesting. Sometimes you have husband and wife teams, in fan films, but most times you don't. Like, for example, my wife ain't going near fan films with a 10-foot pole. But there's a fan series called Dreadnought Dominion, which you might want to check out. And the showrunner for that, Gary Davis, is married to a woman who is deaf, and her name is Tracy. And Tracy not only has fully supported him, but she appears in his fan film as a deaf communications officer. Which is sort of like Geordi being the blind navigator.
Exactly.
The blind navigator.
Exactly. Which he started out as the blind navigator.
I'm finally making that connection.
But it's very interesting what he did with Tracy is that she wears glasses. So the idea is the glasses give her a readout of whatever things are spoken to her. And she communicates in sign language, right? But the computer interprets that. And so whatever she signs is spoken through the intercom to whoever she's talking to. So it's a fascinating way of doing that. But yeah. But they are a husband and wife team. They love each other very much. They just drove 12 hours each direction from Ohio to Georgia to deliver set pieces to the folks in Kingsland who have the Star Trek Neutral Zone Studios set. They have Star Trek TOS sets there, and then drove back. Like just literally drove down there for 12 hours, dropped off the command chair, and drove back.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, that's dedication.
Hey, well, the command chairs are important. We're actually talking about we need to build one
us a
so we can
command chair.
have our little seat and spin around. And
So I won't have to pretend and
well, talk to Gary Davis. He knows how to build those things.
I heard that.
I had a blog from a few weeks ago. If you want to check it out about that trip down. So go to Fan Film Factory. Like I said, just go to Fan Film Factory. Just go down the blogs or whatever, or just type in Dreadnought Dominion. You'll find out. And by the way, I don't know if you guys feel like driving from Louisiana to Georgia, but the TOS sets in Kingsland, I mean, basically you're about like 15 minutes away from the Atlantic Ocean, so it's a bit of a huff. But they are there waiting for you. Also closer to you guys, in northern Arkansas, which is not that bad from New Orleans, is Warp 66 Studios, and they have a bridge set. You would have to call up Glenn Wolfe and Dan Reynolds to see if you could rent that from them for a couple of days or whatever. But they have a bridge, they have a sick bay, which I use for my fan film. They have a transporter room, they have corridors and such. So you might not have to go to the green screen for everything.
Yeah. Hopefully in the near future we won't have to go.
We're gonna have to write a fancy script for that one.
Yeah.
Well, script. You know what? If have TOS sets will travel, I guess.
Well, we definitely appreciate the information, and we're going to look into all of this because we don't mind driving. Being musicians, we've driven to gigs all over. So yeah, those things are just part of the business.
There's one fan filmmaker. His name is Josh Irwin. He actually was the director of photography on my fan film. He's a great guy. He lives in Bentonville, Arkansas, which is right there in the northwest corner of Arkansas. He does a lot of stuff at Warp 66 because it's only like a 3-hour drive for him, 2-hour drive for him. But he goes to Neutral Zone Studios in Georgia all the time too. And for one of his fan films, I calculate it's called Agent of New Worlds, because he filmed part of it in like western Oklahoma, and he filmed part of it in the Phoenix area because he was on another shoot, and he drove everywhere. And I calculated that during the course of making this fan film, Josh Irwin put 5,800 miles on his car.
Wow.
Just driving places. I mean, you did literally a fifth of the circumference of the earth. To make your fan film.
Hey, talk about going where no man has gone before.
Seriously.
I know, seriously. Wow. That's great.
I love the love and dedication from all the different fan films and all the different people. Is definitely inspiring us to keep just writing, to keep trying to, believe in ourselves and do more of these fan films.
And also we're planning to incorporate our music into some of the films, to where we actually performing as a act in on one of the starships or something, maybe in 10 Forward or something we're performing. So
we got a lot of coals in the fire for that, where it's just like, I don't know, we're all playing music in 10 Forward and then we just get a red alert or something. Or just
yeah, okay. I'm gonna give you another resource that you might want to consider. I mean, I don't know what your budget is, because some of these people will charge you a little bit for the services, but of course you can always crowdfund. We do that too. But if you want 10 Forward behind you and you got a green screen, have I got a Brit for you? Samuel Cockings, a fellow who lives in merry old England, has been doing a whole series of fan films. In fact, my most recent blogs are about some of his Trek shorts, which are basically just people filmed in front of green screens. He has the most realistic backgrounds behind these people. And by the way, Sam is currently crowdfunding. I hopefully will have this video out before the end of 14 days from now. We'll see. If you haven't gone to the Samuel Cockings Trek Shorts crowdfunder. I'm just telling people out there, give Sam some money because he's falling way short of his goal, but
Okay.
really great fan films. He does visual effects too. He's done visual effects, space effects for. It's almost shorter to list the fan films he hasn't done the visual effects for.
Oh yeah.
But he has these great backgrounds that I am sure that you can get one from him. And like I said, he doesn't do it for free because the people he hires to make it are going to charge to make the 3D stuff. But it's very, very affordable for a lot of fan filmmakers to get these virtual 3D backgrounds. So you want to be in the holodeck, or you want to be or if you want to be in 10 forward or whatever, or Quarks, or talk to Sam.
All right.
That sounds
Just
up
think
our
of it.
Oh yeah, I'm excited now.
Yeah, right now we actually have a few videos where we're in the holodeck, and we kind of just have a spliced picture of the holodeck that we just splice together to make it look like we're there or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great resource. We're gonna have to look in that.
We're getting better.
We have a lot of green screens we need, so we could use some more virtual backgrounds.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you something. This is a rabbit hole you're about to dive down. I actually have a lot of admiration for you and a little bit of jealousy of the fact that you're just getting into all this. I mean, there's so much out there for you, and the great thing about the fan film community, and there's some people who are absolute assholes in the community, but for the most part, there are just some really, really good people who want to help you. They just were like, we love Star Trek, welcome, get in the pool, the water's great. And like I said, if your first fan film was it was fun. I was looking at. I'm guessing those are your grandchildren's legs that we see in the.
Yeah, well, one of them is my wife's legs, the big one. But yes, that's my grandson, Nazir.
The little giant.
He loves it. All of the children, we put on that. You never seen a group of children be quiet and watch something without talking, and they just was mesmerized. And then when his part came, he was like, "That's me." He's
how
5.
How old? He's 5. Okay,
5.
That's cool. Yeah, that's. Yeah, the kids just really love it. Vance's son is about 5 or 6 right now, and Royce has been in fan film since he was a wee little baby.
Nice. So we're all starting them young, huh? We got actors coming up.
Keep it going.
You know what? I did that. I did that with my son Jaden. I was taking pictures with him since he was very young, taking him to Vasquez Rocks with me. He used to call them Star Trek rocks. We would go there and play around there. I actually have a photo of him sitting in the captain's chair at Roddenberry Entertainment.
Wow.
Because I did a little work for Rod Roddenberry's company many years ago, and in fact they sent me when we adopted Jaden, they sent me a onesie for him to wear.
Star Trek onesie.
Star Trek onesie.
So cute. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I took a picture of him in the onesie and I just sort of turned it into a space scene, and then I sent it off to Rod and Trevor at Roddenberry. Said, "This is what you've done."
That's right.
He's a Trekkie forever now.
I know.
He also loves Star Wars, but he speaks both languages, we like to say. But talking about working out, I've got the exercise bike set up, pointed towards the TV, and every night we watch half of an episode while I do 25 minutes of cardio. Just last night we watched the first half of Meridian, Deep Space Nine episode from third season.
Oh, yeah.
We're about 4 episodes away from starting Voyager. He has seen Star Trek Prodigy without ever knowing who Janeway is.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this is going to be weird. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens there. But he is he loves Star Trek. He loves we watch it together, and I'm not sure I can get him into a uniform anymore. He might be a little old for that, but
I don't know. Once they go with Star Trek,
we'll see. All right, well, folks, I just really want to welcome you guys to the community. We love having new people join, and especially the diversity. We have a number of Black Star Trek fan filmmakers out there, but I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It's mostly white people. uh,
Yeah,
They are, because there aren't. I just don't think there are as many Black Trekkies out there. I just don't know.
I would say it's mostly cool white people because if they're Star Trek fans, they have to be cool somehow.
Back during the 70s, I wasn't cool. Now I'm cool, damn it.
Yes,
You are. You are. I was just going to tune in about like how Black people are kind of tuning into the Trek universe. And I do know that there's some folks who are looking at it from a very Afrofuturistic standpoint. And there are people that do kind of gather, but they gather in different spaces. Like there is a convening that's happening in New Orleans, I think, Dr. Lude, around more like a Comic-Con, but it's more of a Black Comic-Con, and there will be some, I'm sure, Star Trek people there. And like the group I told you, they're called the Women of Wakanda, and they are a Mardi Gras parade, but they throw parties, and all of them are big fans of course, Nichelle Nichols, but Star Trek. So I think more and more people are getting into it, and I think with us participating and being out there, I think it's going to inspire more people to show their Trek off. um, and just be more active in the community. So hopefully we can inspire more folks who are Star Trek fans, especially Black folks, to just get out there and just, be present.
Yeah.
And I envision a world, a future of all people together as one race, the human race. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
In a Star Trek film.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
Film.
But yeah, I think in the Black community, there's a lot of Star Trek likers. We're just kind of just chill about it. We like to get together and watch the movies and hang out, but we haven't thought to just, let's make a fan film or whatever. So,
until now.
Well, until us, but we're already goofy people.
I know.
Who just make stuff.
Yeah.
We do look a little goofy, but hey,
so much fun making it.
It's obvious you guys had a lot of fun with this. So anyway, I congratulate you on your first. Looking forward to your second, your third. We'll have you back here.
Sir.
Maybe we'll do a special 10th anniversary. When you create your 10th fan film or whatever.
Sounds good. I'm gonna hold you to that one.
Hey, you know where to reach me. You got my email now.
Yes, sir.
Or else.
I hope that we're fan film friends now. And
we're definitely fan film friends.
If there's anything we can do for you at any time, don't hesitate to reach out.
Hey, if everyone listens to some good jazz music, I know where to turn.
Matter of fact, we'll send you some of our music, our original music that we've produced over the years. So look forward to that. We'll send you links to all of that.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I am not a jazz aficionado. You say the names of famous jazz people, I just shake my head like I know what you're talking about. But I've been to jazz clubs. I know a little of it, but honestly, the way you were just entering the world of fan films, I would just be entering the world of jazz. So I'm happy to learn some more about that, since you guys obviously teach it.
Michael would be happy to see you getting into more jazz.
As a matter of fact, wasn't there our Deep Space Nine captain a musician?
Right, he's a singer.
That's true, Avery Brooks. Oh, he's an amazing jazz man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was amazing singer.
He sung on Deep Space Nine with Vic in the holodeck.
Oh,
yeah.
I gotta watch that episode.
Yeah, we'll watch it.
But anyway.
No, absolutely. And honestly, I've heard Avery Brooks talk, and it's kind of interesting because he sort of talks in jazz. Have you ever heard him communicate?
Yes.
He'll answer himself. He'll ask his own questions. So was I doing that? Yes, I was. And it's and somebody told me, he said he talks in jazz. That's not my thing. Somebody else says it. He talks in jazz, and I guess so.
I guess so.
Well, the reference was exactly that. That was in Far Beyond the Stars. I mean, that hat, that pork pie hat. I mean, again, in the resemblance of Mom, the piano in the kitchen, Thelonious Monk, and the piano in his kitchen. I mean, so, as a matter of fact, in that particular episode, you know, everything that you saw in Far Beyond the Stars, and you looked at Benny Russell's apartment, you know, there were a couple of times where we panned through the apartment, the books, and there was a door, a real door from the Dogon tribe in Mali, who discovered Sirius B hundreds of years before people in the West, astronomers, astrologers knew it existed. So, yeah, Monk, you're absolutely right.
Oh man, well,
So anyway, but guys, thank you so much for your time here today, and you know, I wish you all the luck going forward. And you know, hey, once again, embrace our community. We're here to help, and you know, we're happy to have you participating with us and to just sort of celebrate everybody. That's what's great about Star Trek.
well, thank you so much for having us. We really look forward to being in this community. It's like a Star Trek, like we just get on the ship. We're part of Starfleet now.
Yeah, beamed in onto the
Relax,
ship.
Ensign.
Thank
We're
you.
just getting started.
Welcome aboard.
Thank
And
you.
we do have a queen of a galaxy here, so
And the Queen of the Galaxy is now
That's what
just
you tell
beamed in.
You should tell your wife, hey, I'll make you the queen of the galaxy if you.
Oh, no, she
you
already
get it
is. My
appeal?
wife is already the Queen of the Galaxy.
I know that's not much. That's not enough for you.
well, thanks a lot, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having
guys.
us.